on. So if you are just joining us, we are going to get started on our backs today with a neck release. I recommend having a blanket for this. Fold your blanket up so you've got some length to it, and you'll create a bump in your blanket where your neck will land, and you still want to have enough room for your head, and then the bottom half of the blanket will come to your low back. All right, so again, gentle neck release, and this is totally optional. With everything in our practice, you're the ultimate authority in your body. So starting from the very beginning, listen to what you need and leave what you don't. So with that said, I'm going to invite you to take several deep, slow breaths in through the nose. And exhale, open mouth, sigh it out, let it go. A deep, slow breath in through the nose. And exhale, let it go. Take that one more time on your own breath. If you're just joining us, we're starting on our backs in a neck release. So I recommend having a blanket here. This can be, you want some length in your blanket. And as you lay down, you'll create a bump in your blanket so that your neck rests on the bump. Trying to demonstrate that a little bit. I don't know if that's, your neck rests on the bump, and that your head then rests above and your lower back rests below. As we start to arrive on our mat, we take a moment here, the beginning of our practice, to first and foremost honor the stewards of the land who've come before us. So in Washington, D.C., we're reminded that we are on Anacostan land. And as we come into the portion of our yoga practice on our mat today, we take time to acknowledge and honor the first and earliest practitioners of the yogic practice. These indigenous practitioners who brought us this beautiful practice almost 5,000 years ago, come from the subcontinent of India, from Africa, and even present-day Pakistan. So we continue to honor the lineage of yoga's roots from those times of the early practitioners to today. And as you start to settle in here, we're going to move through the various layers of the body to just check in. And the various layers of our body in the yogic tradition are known as our koshas, and we have 5 koshas. So our first kosha is our physical layer, our Annamaya kosha. So it's taking a full body scan, whether you start from the head down to the toes or work from the toes all the way up to the head. Notice how you're feeling physically. And with this observation, remember there's not a right or a wrong. And continue to observe and even name where you're feeling the most bound, tight, open, free in the body. And then from here, we'll move into our second kosha, our pranayana kosha, pranamaya kosha, excuse me. And our prana is our life force. It's what travels on the breath. So as we bring a gentle awareness to our breath, notice not only how the breath is moving in the body, but how the breath interacts with our physical being, and also how our breath interacts energetically in the body. And at this point, we've been oftentimes groomed to change our breath as we start to notice it, to try and control it. We want to do our best just to let the breath remain in a natural rhythm, but understandable if we come into a moment where we just start deepening our breath, that's fine. Nothing has to be perfected. Also, nothing has to be changed either. And we'll move into our third layer, which is our mental kosha. And here we want to check in with the thoughts and notice how the thoughts are moving in the brain and what emotions we're bringing with us onto our mat. How are our emotions showing up in our body? So taking time to name where the emotions may be showing up and actually name the emotions, but how they're interacting mentally as well. We have a lot of thoughts grasping for our attention. Or has it become a slow, steady stream? And it's just allowing us to sit back and observe. And then from here, we'll always keep an inner ear on each of the koshas as we move to the next, but we'll bring the majority of our attention to our intuition. I oftentimes think of the intuition as my gut feeling, like what is being communicated with me on a really deep level in my body and spiritually. And that can be different for every person. And it may not be very loud today. It could also be very loud. But just take a moment to check in. Maybe it's just a quick hello or a deeper conversation. What is your body trying to communicate on one of our deepest levels? And then from here, we'll move into our final and fifth kosha. And the question I invite you to ask yourself is, how is your joy? And that phrase can have so many different meanings as well. But how is your joy right now? And as you check in with your joy, and maybe return to the other layers that you've already checked in with to see if anything has changed, sense broadening out. I invite you to set your sankalpa, your intention for your practice. Honoring the challenges that may have brought you to the mat, the obstacles that may have taken to come here. But what do you need from your practice today? Repeating that to yourself 3 or so times. Begin to integrate it into the different layers of your body. And then as you're ready, letting your intention go, begin to invite some gentle movement back in as you slowly find your way to a comfortable seat. No rush to get there, so really take your time here. And as you find your comfortable seat, several different options for you today. So keep your time, take your time moving. I can go through things as you're making your way there. First is crisscross applesauce. So sitting up on a block or a blanket, whatever's going to feel best. Or coming onto your knees and placing a block underneath your seat and potentially placing a towel or your blanket underneath your ankles. And this can feel, it's just a different position. You can do this without the block. I find it does become harder on the knees over time. So wherever you choose to find your comfortable seat, again, whether it's crisscross applesauce, on a block or a pillow, or on your knees on the block, find what works best for you. Sitting up nice and tall, our pranayama exercise today is going to be a 6-directional breath. So we're going to work and practicing and moving our breath in a 360-degree fashion today. Because part of what happens sometimes with our breath is that it stops and it just works in one direction. We're going to try and get to move it in 6 directions. So again, nothing that has to be mastered, but be open to what the experience has to offer. Just start closing the eyes or finding a soft point for your gaze. And we'll begin by reestablishing the connection with the breath and moving into a deep diaphragmatic breath if that feels right for you. And by that, I mean breathing in through your nose, feeling your belly expand, even the breath begin to expand in the backside of the body as the ribs move out. So as you breathe in, we're going to start our breath. Even though we breathe in through the nose, we're going to feel the breath travel from the base of our spine all the way up to the crown of the head on the inhale. And then as you exhale, feeling the breath travel from the crown of the head back down to your base of your spine. So breathing here, finding your own rhythm, noticing your length of inhale, your length of exhale. While we are putting effort into our breath, trying not to strain. So don't go beyond the inhale where it gets really hard and you have to grasp for breath. Back out of it a little bit. And the same thing for the exhale. It'll take about 30 to 45 seconds to work just in that deep diaphragmatic breath without movement, noticing how that breath is interacting with the body and how it feels in this moment. And then on your next inhale, interlace your fingers and place your hands on the top of the head. We're going to move our hands with our breath, starting to imagine the breath in the 6 different directions we'll take it. So on this inhale, you're going to lift your arms up as if you're pulling the breath up from the root of the spine all the way through the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, you're going to bring the breath back down from the sky through the crown of the head down to the base of the spine, putting a little bit of pressure on the head, but not so much that you hunch over and crunch your neck. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bring breath back in. And we'll take that once more in this direction. Inhale, so feel the breath travel up. And then you'll feel it down as you exhale on your own count. Actually, let's do that one more time. Full breath in. And a full breath out. We'll take a full round of breath here to bring our hands to our shoulders, cupping them as if we're holding tennis balls or cupcakes on your shoulders. So don't squish the frosting. As you take a breath in, go ahead and lift the arms up. Feel your ribs expand out to the side. Our shoulder blades will move, but not so much that we hunch into the ears. And then exhale, bring it down, feeling your ribs come back together. So keep moving here on your own breath. So as we even are moving the arms up and down, we're thinking of this more as an expansion. So on the inhale, your ribs are expanding, opening up. And as you exhale, you feel the ribs come back together. Take that twice more with your breath. So it's more of a side to side motion here. And then as you take your last exhale in this position, keep your hands on your shoulders and draw your elbows together. Take a full breath in, feeling your shoulder blades wrap around your ribs. And then as you exhale, open up your chest, shoulder blades, scapula come together. Inhale, draw elbows together. Feel that rounding of the back, not hunching, but your shoulder blades across the ribs. And then exhale, draw it out, open up heart. We'll take that twice more in this direction. Inhale. Exhale. Last time, breath in. And breath out. We'll pause here, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, draw your elbows together. Breathe into the back side of your body. Inhale, open up, feel heart open, feel breath move. Exhale. Twice more. Inhale, open. Exhale. Last time on your breath. And then as you're ready, go ahead and shake it on out. Might have felt that a bit in your shoulders. So find, again, a comfortable position. So if you're sitting crisscross applesauce, great, but you want to sit up nice and tall, engaging your core and really rooting your hips down into the earth. We're going to open up our neck here before we do a bit of strengthening. So first thing we're going to do, interlace your fingers. I'm just going to turn to the side so you can see. Interlace your fingers and bring your hands behind your back. Elbows can be bent, arms can be straight, hands can be together, hands can be apart. The thing we want to focus on, not so much where our hands are at, where our arms are at, is the opening of the heart, the drawing back of the shoulders, and the squeezing of the scapula. Okay? So as we're taking this, we're focusing on these muscles right here, and that's going to look different. So arms can be bent to do this. And just squeeze. Feel as if your shoulder blades are rolling down the backside of your body. Find your breath. Take one more deep inhale. And then on your exhale, let go. Shake it out. So what we're trying to work on is counteracting the movement that we get from hunching over a computer and having all these muscles become really short and tight. So we're starting to open up that space. Do be mindful here though, and I apologize for not mentioning this before we did this. If there's a lot of emotions that you found are hanging out in your chest, that may be too vulnerable. So consider backing off of it a bit just to take care of that particular space. We'll do that one more time as you're ready, interlacing your fingers, and on an inhale, feeling your shoulder blades roll down and back and your scapula squeeze together, opening up the heart. And take one more full breath in and full breath out. Release down, shake it out. So continuing to sit up nice and tall. This is where you really, really, really want to ground through your hips. You're going to cross your hands over your body. We're going to come into neck cars. So these articulated movements are going to work into our neck and into our cervical spine. We're bringing our hands across, so we've got tactile reinforcement to remind us not to get the whole back involved. We're just doing the neck. So from here, as you're ready, I'll demonstrate once, but feel free if you've done this before with me to follow along. You'll drop your chin. You'll scrape your chin along your collarbone, finding a lateral stretch. And then as you turn, it's almost a slight twist as you're side-eyeing your back pocket. You're gonna come up and around and be really careful there because that's where our range of motion can come into play and cross crunching. So it might not be as far back as you think. Side-eyeing your back pocket into the twist, bringing your ear to your left shoulder, and then back down. So we're going to take that twice more in each direction, or 3 times if you were watching. And each movement does not have to be particularly articulated and super sharp. The idea is that we're finding the natural rhythm while working through the twist, the lateral movement, and the back and forth. So continuing that, after you take 3 on the right side, you'll pause in the center and you'll move to the left. Really grounding down through your hips. I know it's really hard not to get your back like all into this, but we're just focusing on our neck here. And then again, when you're ready, there's absolutely no rush. You'll take 3 in the opposite direction. And then after you've taken your 3 at your pace, we'll all just meet back in our seat. Sit up nice and tall. When you get there, take a moment just to notice how you feel from having done those few opening exercises. Finding your breath. And as you're ready, we're going to move into our strength exercises here. I know you're like, why can't we just stretch? I don't need to strengthen. Gotta have both. It's good. We need to balance things out. So interlacing your hands, bring your hands behind your head. It can be, I find it's best to do just above the base of the neck, not quite in the center of the head. And then sitting up nice and tall, shoulder blades down your back. Keep looking forward. Send your chin into your head. So we're not like crunching everything, but your hands are providing a counterbalance so your chin doesn't and your rest of your body doesn't move back. So press, press, press. And this is strengthening the back side of the neck. And we'll breathe here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and gently release your hands. Bring one fist to your forehead, finding your nice neutral spine again, putting a little bit of pressure from your fist onto your forehead. Now I want you to send your forehead into your hand. What should be activated is all of these front little itty bitty muscles in the front side of your chest that tend to get shortened as we hunched over. So breathe here, breathe, press, press, press. So yeah, we're not goosing our neck forward. We're not creating that funky position. We're still in a nice straight, and we're just providing tactile reinforcement. Take one more breath and release. We'll do that once more, each of those. Bring your hands behind your head, stand up nice and tall. As you're ready, set your head back into your hands, your chin back into your hands. I should mention that these strengthening exercises come from Sharon Frederickson, I just wanted to name that. I'm not as smart as probably most people think, but it's important to name where we get these things. Take 2 more breaths. And as you're ready, release on down. And then you'll take your opposite fist to your forehead once again. Find your neutral stance, maybe sit up nice and tall. Press fist into head, and then send your forehead forward. Engage all your little muscles up front. Breathe here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Shake it out. From here, we're going to just work the side to side muscles. So as you're ready, draw your right ear to your right shoulder. Try not to force the neck super far down or out of its general range. As you found that, bring your right hand to your head. Don't force anything down. We're not going to force a stretch like we've done before. From here, you're going to put a little bit of weight from your hand onto your head, and then you're going to try and lift your head into your hand. So you can feel all of these muscles engaged. You might even get a gentle stretch here too. We're just not lengthening through the stretch. Let's breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Bring your chin back down. Take any movements that feel good. And then we'll draw our left ear to left shoulder. Same thing, as you're ready, place your hand on your head, a little bit of pressure, but not so much that it drops it into an unstable position, and then press your head into your hand for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. This time, bring your left hand under your left ear and use your left hand to gently bring your head back up to center. Hopefully your neck muscles feel a bit more open. They felt a little bit of release. We'll move on. We're going to come into, as we move into a wide-legged child's pose with an upper body twist variation to work into our shoulders. You may want your blanket here, depending on how your child's pose feels, or your pillow. If you want to use your blanket or your pillow, you can always place something underneath your head or right on top of your heels. So it just creates a bit more room for the heels and the seat to meet. For upper body, as you come down, bring your arms out nice and long. Just go back a little bit. And let's thread our right arm underneath the left. Right cheek can come down to your mat. Your left hand can stay long. Left hand can always come to a bind. So decide what works best for you, knowing you can always bring to a prop underneath your chest to draw the ground closer to your heart. You can place something underneath your head if it's too much strain on your neck. But it's a gentle twist in the upper body to work into our shoulders. So find what gentle means for you in this shape. And then we're starting to open up and warm up our hips. We'll be here for about 3 to 4 minutes total. And I'm going to invite you to deepen your breath. So breathing in and out through your nose and naming your breath. So oftentimes as we hold our shapes in stillness, it's when the mind starts to really think, okay, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, ooh, I want this for lunch. All of the things, all of the distractions, which yoga is designed to help us work with and almost move past in a way. And by naming the breath, we're creating another distraction to move from the distractions of the mind. So noting, naming, inhale, exhale, or breath in, breath out, your preference. For the remainder of the time, I'm going to be silent here, letting you be with your breath and in your shape. If you do need anything though, Please feel free to come off mute or pop into the chat. I will provide as much support as I can in this virtual setting. And then from here, as you come out of this shape, feel free to pause for a bit in the center and then move to the other side, or come completely out of child's pose, maybe into a tabletop, taking a few cat-cows or movement as you need it before moving into your other side. So movement or stillness or anything else that calls to you. Whichever one you choose to take based on what you need, do so mindfully and with intention. And then once again, as you're ready, no rush, feel free to move to the other side. As you're ready, unwind from your shape. An option to come through center and just pause. Option to take movement, maybe that's in a tabletop with cat-cows or downward facing dog or anything else that the body is asking for. You want to do so mindfully, maybe even noting why the body is choosing movement over stillness or stillness over movement. One is not better than the other, they're just different. So I just want to note that. And then as you're ready, finding your way back up to your seat. No rush, we got time. We'll extend our legs out nice and long as you get there. I can walk us through our two different options for our hip opener. So if you're still in movement, take time, just maybe pay attention. I'm gonna offer up shoelace or square pose. Feel free to take any other hip opener that is gonna call to you that your body may need. Just a word of caution that your body may not be super warm as it would be at the end of a vinyasa class. So really listen to that as you come into your hip opener, okay? So for shoelace, you're gonna cross your legs, maybe one knee over the other as much as they want to cross. And then from here, bending your legs, drawing your heels close to your seat. Knees do not have to stack perfectly on top of each other. This is working into our outer hip and into the glute, depending on where you feel the tightest. You may feel it in other areas too, just based on your day. You can stay here, or a block or a series of blocks can come in handy to begin to fold forward. As you fold forward, you may find that the stretch deepens in your body. So really listening and deciding that. Second option is going to be square pose. And you'll start by crossing at your ankles, working your feet to the edges of your mat or away from each other, and then working your legs and your calves away from your body. So almost as if you're creating a square with your lower body. And from here, folding forward. Again, blocks or even a pillow can be used to provide support in the shape. Most people who tend to do square pose find that folding forward helps get into the hip. That might be different for you, so just note that as well. If you're like, oh, I'm standing up and I'm feeling that already, that's great. So choosing your option or another option that has not been named, taking a forward fold or not, using what props you might need. Again, I'll keep an eye out on the chat, or if you need to come off mute to ask for support, please, please, please do so. And we're going to hang out here. As you breathe during this side of this shape, I invite you to notice the sensations in your body and notice how these sensations are interacting with the mind and interacting with the breath. Is it disrupting the mind? Is it disrupting the breath? And so as long as it's not painful, being open to working with the discomfort. If you are in like absolute pain, please get out of the shape. Take some movement really back out of it and consider reapproaching at a lower effort level or taking something else, maybe coming into a seated meditation. But as you're here and you're breathing and you're naming your breath, you might even draw slight focus to a part of the body that is holding the least amount of tension. Has the least amount of sensation. This could be pinky toe, pinky finger, eyebrows. And holding that space as well as the discomfort. And then from here, slowly begin to unwind. Taking whatever movements you might need or no movements if that calls to you, you'll begin to switch sides as you're ready. If you're taking shoelace, you'll just place the other leg on top. If you're taking square pose, just switch which ankle and foot is front. And then again, folding forward if that feels right to you. One thing to remember is that each side can be very different, so we'll treat them differently. Like you might treat your sibling differently or friends differently. That everybody needs just something a little different, and the same thing with our sides. From here, slowly rise on up. Taking any movements that you need. We'll make our way onto our backs for our final shape. We'll come into banana pose here. So as you come onto your back, extend your legs and your arms nice and long. Think about keeping shoulders and hips on the ground. Move your legs over to the right side of your mat. Option to cross ankles, outer to inner, inner to outer. And then take your arms in the same direction over toward the top right side of your mat, creating a C shape or a banana shape in your body. You'll feel this working through the left side of your body, IT band, intercostal muscles of the rib cage, and even an opening along the shoulders. If it's too much in the arms, always have the option to release or take a blanket or a pillow, placing them at a various point underneath your arms just to help provide support. If laying on your back is too much, I recommend taking your pillow, maybe even a blanket as well, just for some extra height. And you extend your right side over it, so you're on your side, arms and legs long. Slowly start to find your way back through center. And then moving to the other side. Moving any props you might need to the other side. Making any adjustments. And settling in here. And then beginning to make your way back through center, taking any final movements you need or coming into your Savasana, final resting pose. You can move onto your back, you can move onto your belly, you can even move to legs up the wall or in a seated meditation on your side, or consider coming back to a child's pose if you'd like. Inviting in a few more deep breaths here to welcome you into this new space. And seeing if you can find a way to be 5 to 10% more comfortable. As you begin to let go here, let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Begin to reawaken the senses, inviting some gentle movement back into your body. Wiggling fingers, wiggling toes, rocking head from side to side. As you slowly find your way to a comfortable seat at the top of your mat. And take a moment to just look around your space, to take in the different colors, maybe different objects, to reorient yourself in your own space and your own time. We'll meet back at center as you're ready, drawing hands to heart center, honoring the intention or focus you may have set at the beginning of your practice. And we'll bow our heads in a moment of gratitude, thanking ourselves for making time for our mat, time for what we need. And silently thanking and sending gratitude to those who joined us today to create a virtual community in this virtual space. Be the positive change you wish to see in the world. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice with me today. I hope you have a great Friday Eve. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to stick around. I'll also see you next week, hopefully. So have a great one, everybody.